Welcome, students. This is the class orientation for Gateway to the Great Books, our modern literature. My name is Scott Postma, and I will be your instructor for the next 32 weeks. And in this short orientation video, I want to share with you some of the things that you'll want to be aware of as we prepare to proceed into this new year. And we're going to have a good time reading some modern literature. We'll actually be reading a few pieces that are not modern, but we'll be able to compare with the modern, and that will be our focus. But we're going to have a great time reading everything from imaginative literature to literature that focuses on the social and human condition, to math and science literature, the philosophy of math and science, and discovery of certain scientific elements that we are using today in our modern world, as well as some theology and philosophy. So we're going to be reading primary sources, and we're going to have a great time doing it. Now, I want to begin by taking you to the front of the Kepler website. This is how you get into our class. And so if you've not been here before, this is just kepler.education. And up in the top right corner, you'll find your own account. And when you click this little silhouette, you will see this link to Classroom Login, and that's what you're going to want to click. When you do that, this is where you're going to land. That's this will land you on the syllabus page, and I'm actually going to put this in student view so that you, for just a moment, so you can see what it looks like for you. And it's going to land you here. And you'll see up here, you're in the right place, Gateway to the Great Books, the Modern Period. And you're going to see that this is a 3 high school credit class. Now, what does that mean for you? That means we are going to spend about 360 hours of work this year, studying and reading and watching lectures and having class discussions. And that will be broken into approximately about 10 hours a week, plus our 90 minutes of class time. And it will be more gentle probably than it sounds. This is sort of an introductory course to integrated humanities. And so we will take it fairly easy, but there will be work to do. There is an element of rigor to it, although we're going to take that rigor fairly lightly as compared to some of our other old Western culture classes. All right, you'll see my email is here. I'll talk about my email in just a moment, how to use that. Also, you will see this when you go into this website. You'll find that this is a live link. This is how you get into your Zoom classroom on the appointed day. That appointed day is Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so you'll need to translate that. If you're in Mountain Time, that'll be 11 to 12:30. If you're in Central Time, that will be 12 to 1:30. And if you're in Eastern Time, then that'll be 1 to 2:30. So you'll get an idea of what time you need to log in, and it'll always be on Thursdays. My phone number is also placed here, along with the email, of course. So the first way to contact me is by Canvas messaging. And if you need to get a hold of me, that would be the best place to start. I typically answer the same day, no later than 24 hours. However, there are occasions I am a human, and sometimes I make mistakes, or email gets lost in the shuffle. I forget to respond, or it doesn't send if I do respond, and I thought I sent, but it didn't. So a lot of things could happen. So if after 48 hours you still haven't heard from me, please reach out maybe through email. And if you're in an emergency sort of situation, you get sick right as you're supposed to be coming to class, or something comes up you need to let me know about that's, it's more timely, feel free to text me on that number, 702 number that's listed up there, or you can give me a call. Okay, this is a 3-credit integrated humanities course. It's a general introduction to the great books. That means we're going to be reading the best that has been thought or written in the last 2,500 years. Of course, we won't be reading all of the great books, but we'll be reading a bunch of what Mortimer Adler called the gateway to the great books. These are texts by similar authors, some of the same authors in the great books, some are similar, who wrote in the similar fashion, but maybe their works aren't quite as difficult to understand. And so that gives us an opportunity to access this author, their ideas, without having to look at their more difficult work. Okay. These texts, as it says, are shorter than those found in the great books of the Western world, and yet they're still powerful. And this is designed to foster human flourishing by honoring what is good, true, and beautiful. Now, we will be dividing this course into 4 8-week quarters, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a moment. And you are going to be developing class discussion questions, participating in oral class discussions, and you'll be writing 4 1,200-word essays. So that's 1 per quarter. Now, here's the good news. You will not have a quarterly exam in this class. Your 1,200-word essay will serve as your exam. And we'll talk more about that as we get closer to our writing time, but this will be your assessment. How well you're able to respond to the prompts and to be able to write cogently. The course objectives are mentioned here. I would encourage you to read over all 7 of them. I'm not going to bore you with reading them out loud, but basically these 7 things are hopefully going to help you engage great works by thinking well and thinking Christianly about big ideas, and becoming proficient in writing an academic essay. And the reason that that's important is because, as Ambrose Bierce once noted, thinking is writing, writing is thinking. Good writing is nothing more than clear thinking made visible. And so that's what we're going to try to learn to do in this class. I will provide the PDFs. They are in the files menu you're going to look at here in just a moment. And so you can actually use those PDFs if you'd like to. You can print them off if you prefer. You can buy the books. This first link will take you to an Amazon where you can actually buy the hardbound set of the great books, or the gateway to the great books. And then you can also go to the Project Gutenberg, which is free, and you can actually print them or download portions of them into a Kindle reader or something like that if you use that. Otherwise, the PDFs that you'll see the links to in a few moments are provided, and you can either just read them online or download and print them off that way. You are expected to attend the weekly recitations, where we meet for 90 minutes each week to discuss the big ideas, to talk about the answers to the questions that were presented throughout the week. And that's a very important part of our learning and the learning outcomes for this course. So if you, for some reason, are not able to make it to a class, then please let me know about that ahead of time. You'll be expected to watch the recording and to write a 200-word follow-up, which will be a combination of an analysis and reflection on the class discussion. So just know that if you miss it, that's what you'll need. Otherwise, it will affect your grade. Okay, assignments. As we mentioned, there are weekly readings, weekly lectures, and weekly short writing assignments. Mainly, these are answers to questions about the reading that will help orient you and prepare you for the class discussion. And as I mentioned, there are 4 1,200-word essays, no exams. And any late assignments will accrue 10 points or 10% penalty per day. After 2 days, you get a 0 on that assignment. There won't be any makeup on it. So unless you make arrangements prior, if you have to be out of town, then please know that that will apply across the board. We do use Canvas. We're looking at Canvas right now. And so when we upload assignments, please do not, if at all possible, upload JPEGs or PNGs. PDFs work much better, or a Docs or Google Docs is the best, the Word Docs or Google Docs. There are some instructions here for writing or how to present your paper using Google Docs or other methods. But the one thing here that I really want to point your attention to is the style guide for Old Western culture. This link goes to the files menu where you'll find the style guide, which is basically a Turabian style guide that's truncated for our class, and there'll be some instructions for preparing your essay. You'll need to be familiar with this document, otherwise it will affect your grade and how you present your writing. Also mentioned the importance of attending class. Participation and punctuality are also important. That means being on time for class and also participating in the class discussions. There are two ways it typically goes for students. Either they are so engaged that they want to answer all the questions, or they're not engaged at all and they try to be a wallflower and hope that I pass by them and not call on them to participate in the conversation. The best approach is to be naturally conversant, to have a conversation, to be a part of the conversation as much as is respectful and natural to the rest of your classmates. And so that does require striking a balance, but typically students who are engaged, they've done the reading, they will find the natural way of approaching that. As I mentioned, no exams for this course, so that will be a benefit to you. In some ways, however, do know that the way we weight the class is as following. Your attendance and class participation is worth 25%. Your reading assignments are worth another 25%. The weekly written assignments are worth 10%, and your quarterly essays are going to be worth 40%. So that's pretty significant in its weightedness. Anything above a 94% is an A. Anything between 80 and 89 is a B. Anything between 70 and 79 is a C. Anything below 70% in this class is failing. So please be sure that you keep up on the assignments and the reading, and you shouldn't have any problem passing this class. Here is the teaching philosophy. I highly encourage you to read over it, but basically what it says is that we recognize, or that I recognize as your instructor, that your education isn't separate from your spiritual formation, that these two play a part with each other, that they are interrelated, and that both of us in the classroom are due a particular kind of respect in relationship to our station in the class. I, as a teacher, you as a student, and we each have responsibilities for each other, to each other, and that we should strive to fulfill those responsibilities. And so that will outline those responsibilities there. General chat principles and how to handle computer problems are listed here. And basically what this says is when we're in class, let's not distract with off-topic conversations. And if you have a computer problem, don't panic. Typically, the best way to handle these are check all your connections. If it still doesn't fix anything or whatever the problem is, usually logging out, unplugging and plugging everything back in, rebooting your computer, logging back in, usually solves it. But if not, if you need to, you can feel free to text me and let me know you're having technical difficulties. What we don't want is to have you in the middle of a class discussion raise your hand and say, Mr. Postma, I'm having trouble. What should I do? Basically, you can send me a message in the chat box if we're having a discussion and say I'm having tech problems. I'll be right back. That lets me know you're logging out and logging back in. Okay, so that can be a very discreet way of handling it. If you have a bathroom need or something like that, a personal need, as long as we're not abusing that, I will treat you as young, mature adults. And you just can let me know. I'm going to slip out for a second. I'll be right back, and I'll know that that means you have a personal need to take care of. Now, if you abuse that and you're just going to, hang out with a friend or pretend like you're in class, but you're not, that will be apparent very quickly, and then we will we'll chase that down a different way. But I want to treat you as a young adult until that's proven otherwise. So just be discreet and let me know if you have to log out or jump out of class for a moment. Okay, let's go to the assignments. You can find the assignments, and right now you'll see that this is showing a little different. I will actually rearrange these for whatever reason in the student view. Let me leave student view, see what it looks like here. Yeah, this is the way it should look for you. I'll see why it's not. But what you should be seeing right now, I have week 1 and week 2 up. I will be adding subsequent weeks here in the next couple of days. And so you'll begin seeing this populate. But for now, you at least know the first couple of weeks of assignments and what's going to be expected. You'll start with an introduction that's due before the first day of class. And then you have reading and lectures here. You will be reading these pieces. De Scriptione Temporum by C.S. Lewis is not part of the Gateway books. It's a different short lecture and essay, but it is linked here. Also, you'll read The Ways and Whys of Reading in the Great Gateway of the Great Books and Human Imagination. You'll also watch the lectures, How to Read Actively and Ask Interpretive Questions, and an Introduction to Modernity and Literature. And then let me know whether or not you have completed all of that before our first day of class. That will be due Thursday, August 25th, before you come to class. Now, you probably won't have this much in the lectures every week. Usually be like one lecture or a couple short lectures. But here's getting us prepared, and then you'll have also class participation. This is something I will grade. There's nothing for you to submit. Basically just tells you what it looks like, what my expectations are for class participation. And then this is your first written assignment, and you'll see there's 5 questions. And basically what I'm looking for, 2 to 5 sentences per answer. And basically how many sentences does it take to answer the question cogently and concisely? And these are basically designed to help prepare you, to orient you for our class discussions. They help us get started. And so you'll need to make sure that those are answered, and you submit your answers through the text entry box in the assignments. Okay, and the same thing will be true for week 2. It'll look the exact same way each week until we get to week 8, and that week you will have a paper due. Week 5, you'll submit a thesis statement. Week 6, you will submit a rough draft, and then week 8, you will submit the final draft for your papers. Okay, well, that is the way our class is going to work here. There's not a lot of other things to be aware of other than make sure that you are prepared for the first day of class. If you have questions, something I didn't cover, which is probably inevitable, feel free to shoot me an email. Be happy to answer those questions for you. And I will look forward to chatting with you in class and spending the next 32 weeks discussing modern literature. It's going to be a great time. God bless you. I will see you in a couple of weeks.